What is going on, everybody? It's Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast, and this is the first undefeated post-weigh in show for 2022. I am absolutely pumped up to get back on this horse with you guys. We're taking one final look at the fighters as they step on the scales, and we try to get every little tidbit of information that we can, see if maybe we can place a last bet or something based on somebody having a tough weight cut. Maybe they size up, they're bigger than we thought they were. That's what this is all about today, is hammering in those last couple little adjustments and making a solid bet. Now, you may be going, Clint, this looks a little different from usual. You're not using your normal camera. Well, that's because I got a treat for you guys. For the first show of 2022, I've got none other than the man himself, Jeff Molina, breaking down this undefeated post-weigh-in show with me. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I can't wait. I'm just stoked to have fights back. You know what I mean? It's been way too long.
Dude, same. Even though COVID's messed this one a little bit or a lot of bit, I'm really excited for this card.
Yeah, man, it came together really well, actually. Some of these replacement fights actually turned out to be pretty fun and exciting, and I know you might have an inside track or some opinions on a few of them.
Yeah, I'm a little biased, but some of these sleeper cards, man, we've seen these turn into bangers. So I am a little biased. I have 4 teammates fighting tomorrow night, but yeah, I like this card a lot.
That's what it's all about, man. I always tell everybody these cards where the name value is minimal, they end up being the most fun to watch. Like, everybody's so hungry. Everybody's looking to make a name for themselves. So we always end up having a damn good show, even though it's not the top of the roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens all the time, man. I feel like most of the cards with the people that don't have the most recognizable names turn into these bangers. Like, I think, like, if there's some stats on that, I'm pretty sure it's aiming for banger cards versus some boring fights, especially with these guys having to skip their holidays. Like, they want to fight, man. They made some sacrifices for this one, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
They're angry, man. You skip New Year's for a fight day. You got to be locked in and ready to go.
Yeah, Christmas.
All right. Let's break this thing down, man. Let's talk about it. You mentioned you've got some teammates on the card, and let's start there. First fight of the night, it looks like TJ Brown taking on short notice replacement fighter Charles Rosa. Watching the weigh-ins earlier today, TJ came in at 155. He looked great, if I'm being honest, from watching him on the scales time and time again like I do. He looked a little bit leaner. He's usually a bit puffier with the muscle mass. It looks like he may have leaned out just a little bit to my, just kind of to my eye here. Charles Rosa came in at 156, and I'll be honest, he looked pretty dialed in, man. He looks intense today, more so than we usually see him. Gave a bit of a premature flex. The guy on the scale had to tell him to calm down so they could get the weight right. This was a good face-off. These guys size up really well. Rosa was very intense, which, like I mentioned, kind of uncharacteristic of him. TJ Brown opened up a big favorite here, man. Minus 278, it looks like. And since then, it's been nothing but love for Charles Rosa. Right now, you can get Charles Rosa about plus 185. TJ Brown is all the way down to minus 225 in this spot, especially with this being a teammate of yours, man. I know we've got a history with Charles Rosa. Glory MMA has already defeated this man. Talk to me. How do you feel about this fight playing out? And what do you think about that big favorite line on your boy?
I like it, man. I liked him against Benitez as well. Again, I'm going to preface all this with I am a little biased. But yeah, I really like this fight. The value, I think I got TJ, I think he opened up at plus 210 on one of my books. So that's what I got him at, which is pretty nice. Or sorry, minus 210. Yeah, I like this fight a lot, man. We've game planned for Rosa before. He's good. He's a cardio machine. He's from Boston. Throws subs off his back. Kind of plays the jiu-jitsu game a little too much. And TJ has kind of in the past done the same thing. Like, this isn't jiu-jitsu, this is MMA, and sometimes he can find himself playing jiu-jitsu too much off his back. That being said, I don't really see where Charles beats him. Like, he's known for his cardio, but he's coming off the couch for this. A couple days notice or 3 days notice, whatever it is. Like, I wonder how that's going to hold up. Can you sub
TJ?
TJ?
Have bad cardio either, though. It's not like he's a guy that we know to gas out or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think his one shot is subbing TJ. Can he do that? Yeah, possibly. We've seen TJ fall victim to a guillotine from cross sides. I know a lot of people will have some judgment on that or maybe be critical about that, but that's a thing, man. That's a move in itself, that cross-side guillotine with the high elbow. So I don't take much away from him. I've seen TJ in the gym the last 8 weeks, and he's looked good, man. You mentioned his physique. I missed the weigh-ins this morning just with practice and stuff, but yeah, he's looked really fucking good this camp, man. Like, really good. And I'm gonna say the same thing for Dakota later. This is the best I've ever seen Dakota, but like in the gym, seeing their physique and the work they've been putting in, like the extra practices. Yeah, I like TJ a lot in this fight, and I like him by decision. I don't think he subs.
Okay.
I don't think he subs Rosa. I don't think he knocks him out. I really like him a lot at decision. I'm sure the value's better. Him winning by
Yeah.
decision.
You got to think that decision prop is going to be something pretty solid. Now, the props aren't out yet. I'm not seeing them for this particular fight, so definitely it can't give you a square number on that right now. But you would expect the decision prop is probably going to be decent on it, because a lot of people would expect this fight to finish. You know, either TJ on the feet or something like that, Charles Rosa on the ground. So the decision prop will probably be pretty juicy. You can't say I disagree with you, man. I actually had a bet on TJ Brown in his last fight against Benitez. I loved the underdog value on TJ Brown against Benitez. My only concern in this spot is him shifting from fighting a primary striker to fighting a primary grappler. That's the type of short notice thing where the guy coming in actually might have a bit of a wild card advantage type of thing if he's been training to stand up as opposed to training, you know, his submission defense, that kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts on that? Has he been working his grappling throughout this camp?
Yeah, he has, man. And I feel like he understands that part of it. Like, dude, this isn't jiu-jitsu. I can't play jiu-jitsu in MMA. Like, when there's punches and elbows involved, it's just different. You know, we've seen high-level black belts turn into white belts real quick when they got hammers coming after him. So, yeah, he understands that, man. And I feel like, yeah, I just don't see where Rosa beats him, man. I know Rosa hasn't been finished in a while, and that's why I'm kind of going with winning by decision. But, yeah, I like this a lot for TJ.
Okay. All right. I like it, man. I was actually considering throwing TJ in a parlay myself. That number keeps coming down. So I'm just going to sit tight at this point.
Yeah.
And
Oh, so I remember. I just remember what you asked, brother. Sorry, man. I'm
that's
on
all
no
good.
sleep. Yeah, the short notice thing. I was thinking that today. Like, he's getting ready for Southpaw. Rosa's mainly ortho, but he does switch a little bit. Um, I, you got to think the same thing for Rosa, right? On 3 days' notice or 4 days' notice, whatever it was. Like, the short notice prep has to affect him in a similar fashion. So I don't think that's going to come into play here.
Okay. Fair enough, man. You know, like I was saying, I kind of like TJ in this spot myself. I think that price is coming down because a lot of people are taking the value on the underdog, and I can kind of see the argument that the line may have opened a little bit wide, but I do see this as a clear spot for TJ. You know, he's the one coming off of a solid training camp. He's the one that already had a fight lined up, and like we mentioned, you guys have already, you know, brain trusted for Charles Rosa. The blueprint is there. We know how to beat this guy. I like all those things. I might end up having TJ in a parlay myself by tomorrow. But at this point, I have yet to make a bet on this particular spot. Second fight coming up here, another short notice fill-in. Brian Boom Kelleher made 145 on the dot. The dude is an absolute tank. Gave it a nice smile and flex on the scale today. Kevin Croom, another Glory MMA fighter, filling in here on short notice, made 145.5 without much of an issue. Big ol' happy smile on the guy's face. I love the energy he brings to the table. And he's one of those guys you can't really judge for his body type, but let him know he needs to get a tan. He was pasty white up there on the scales today. The thing I noticed, though, man, is Croom is huge. Like, when they faced off, Croom looks like he's a full weight class above Brian Kelleher. And I know that that's, you know, a short, stocky muscle mass versus that tall, lanky body type that he's got. But it was surprising, the height difference here for me. And I'll just kick this one off to you, man. How do you think Kevin Croom does filling in here on short notice? Another big underdog, plus 240, it looks like, on your boy Croom.
Yeah, Croom's a gangster, man. I will say this: Kelleher is good. He's really fucking good, man. He throws hard, he hits hard. Got a nasty gilly. He's really good, man. But you can't count out Kevin Croom. He's a dog. Really, when it comes down to it, like, I feel like it's really hard to get him out of there. Like, he's going to be up in your face, and this may be a short notice fight, but he's been putting in the work in the gym, and I know everyone says that, but he was getting ready. His New Year's resolution was to get ready as if he was fighting. So he was pretty much in camp, eating clean, putting in the 2-3 practices a day. So I don't count him out of this at all, man. We saw with his debut, short notice, up a weight class, up really 2 weight classes. I know you mentioned his size, but Croom's not that big for 45, man. He looks like it because of his stature and his length. But he was scheduled to have a fight at 35 a couple months ago that he had pulled out of due to injury. But he's not the biggest guy. But in the past, he's had a hard time using that length and reach of his. I know he fought Caceres, who's just as long as him, so it's kind of tough. And he also plays that in and out game, kind of Taekwondo-esque, like, point fighter. ish. Yeah, you can't cut out Kevin Croom. I think Croom's gonna be up in his face. I know he knows how he has to win this fight. You can't cut out my guy Kevin Croom. Again, guys, I'm a little biased, so my money's on Kevin Croom. I'm sprinkling a little bit on Croom. I like the value on him. You cannot count out a dog, man. Like he did the same thing against Robert Roosevelt. I know that win hasn't aged very well, but Roosevelt's fucking good, man. People forget. I think he fell victim to poor fight IQ. Like in a Cody no-love fashion where it cost him these fights. But that dude is good. He was a big prospect. I think he got cut, but I can see him coming back in the UFC. That was a situation where Kevin Croom took that fight on like 2 days notice, 3 days notice, came in, dropped him with an overhand right, and then put him to sleep with the I think it was like a front naked, So can't count out a dog, man. So my money's on Croom dog.
Okay. I can feel it, man. I definitely respect it. I had a bet on Kevin Croom against Alex Caceres. That version of Bruce Leroy that showed up, I think, took a lot of people by surprise. He has never looked that good before, so that was definitely shocking. I'm a bit bummed on this one, man. I love Kevin Croom, but this is like two fighters I'm a fan of getting put in there against each other.
Yeah, and I want you to be honest with me, brother. Yeah.
Absolutely. I will be completely honest with you. I had a bet on Brian Kelleher before the opponent switch up. I was looking to back him this weekend. I felt like that was a good spot for him where he could implement his wrestling. My fear for this fight now that they rebooked it, is that Brian Kelleher's strength is going to play right into Kevin Croom's game. You know what I mean? The way that guy can scramble, how slick he is on the mat, those long, lanky arms, the legs. The one way Brian Kelleher has really been beaten in the past has been by submission. And someone who's scrambly like Croom, has those long limbs like Croom, he's the kind of guy that might be able to sneak in and take something that maybe a different opponent wouldn't be able to take advantage of. So I'm a little bit frozen here, man, if I'm being honest. I don't want to lay minus 300, minus 275 on Brian Kelleher for this fight. Kevin Croom, like you mentioned, is an absolute dog, and he is the kind of guy that will come in here and he will fight for your money. Like, if he's not unconscious, he's going to keep attacking. So I think there's an opportunity for Croom to show up and pull the upset here. I am going to wait for these props to come out and see what they look like. But either of these guys by submission, I think, might be a tasty way to kind of approach this fight. You're going to get a sick number on Kevin Croom by submission. I'll be honest, I do kind of think that's maybe his only path to victory here. But I think it's a good path to victory. Saying it's his only path, I'm not trying to insult him or anything. I think he's got a very good chance of pulling off the upset by submission here. Whereas Kelleher, it's probably more of a decision or submission type of situation. So I don't know that I'm going to bet this one, if I'm being honest, man. I might just have to sit back on the sidelines and watch this one for fun.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I agree with everything you said, brother. At least from the betting perspective, would be what kind of Croom showed in that last fight, as far as the not the best takedown offense, the way he was shooting on some of those shots, but he was fighting Alex Caceres, who was very hard to get a hold of. So I think that's why the shots were so bad, and people are a little worried that, or I would think people would be worried that maybe Croom could get guillotined in some of those shitty shots that he shot in his last fight. I just don't think that's a thing. He's got a nasty guillotine, but Halfer Jim has a nasty guillotine, man. I just don't see Croom getting caught with that. But yeah, I agree with your assessment 100%, man.
I mean, honestly, man, I might just bet violence here. Once the totals come out, I might bet the fight doesn't go the distance, or the under 2.5, something like that, because I think both guys are definitely capable. And I think Croom really he got the short end of the stick against Caceres because of that height and reach advantage. Now that's going to be on his side for this fight. Brian Kelleher's got some pop in his hands, but he's going to have a hard time closing the range. Like, he's going to have to rely on the takedowns, which, like I mentioned before, puts it right in Croom's world. So this is going to be a sketchy ass fight, if I'm being honest. It should be a fun one to watch, but not one I want a whole lot of money involved in.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm sprinkling on Croom. And this is going to be a banger of a fight, man. This is probably one of my fight of the nights on this card, besides the main event.
It, man. That should be fun. All right, next fight up. We can take a break from Glory MMA for this one. Court McGee taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. It looks like old man Court McGee came in 170 on the dot. Nothing to report. Dude's always in solid shape. Classic Court. Ramiz came in, and boy, was he cut up. He looked okay. First one of 2022, folks. Say it with me. He was absolutely shredded. He came in at 170 and a half, and honestly kind of made this little cocky pouty face at the camera that I was like, what are you doing? Coming off of, 1-1 in the UFC, making this cocky pout face at the camera, going against a legend in Court McGee. When they face off, man, size advantage, Court McGee. These guys opened up about a pick'em. And I've seen some serious back and forth on Twitter, and the love has recently been coming in on the Ramiz side. It looks like Court is about plus 110. I'm sorry, plus 100 even money is the underdog at this point, and then minus 120 on Ramiz. It's definitely starting to trend more in Ramiz's favor. And I'm not blinking, man. When I broke this fight down on Monday, I said I felt like Court McGee was being disrespected in this spot. He's not a guy that you finish. He's never been submitted. His pace is second to none. Like, he does not stop coming forward. And I think Ramiz is a bit of a one-trick pony at this point. I know he's a young kid. I know he's training at a good gym. He's going to improve. He's going to get better. But his striking is not up to snuff at this point. He's a world-class grappler. But I cannot see him dominating Court McGee in a wrestling match the way he dominated Sasha Plotnikov in his last fight. Like, that's completely different levels. I have a bet on Court McGee here. I got a bad number. I got minus 115. And if I'm being honest, that dog money has me tempted to put a little bit more on Court. I think he's being overlooked in this spot. How do you feel about this fight, Jeff?
100%, man. This is one of my favorite plays this week. I like Court a lot in this fight, man. The more and more I've gotten into my degenerate habits of gambling, I base a lot of it off level of competition, man. And Court's fought the who's who's, and even if he's losing to these guys, I think that's one thing I took away from betting on Contender Series, man. It's like, even if they're losing to good guys, they're still fighting these good guys. They're still getting that experience. So his one path to victory is submitting Court McGee, and we've seen time and time again that what worries me about this fight is that when you get up there in age, you're due for that one over-the-hill performance. And that's why I have a hard time betting on Dominic Cruz, even though I still did play him against Munoz. It's like, they're all due for that one where, like, all right, man, maybe we should call it after this. And he's up there in age. I just don't see, like, and you mentioned his striking. I think his striking is Dookie, not Court McGee, Ramiz. I don't think his striking is that good, man. I just don't see where he beats McGee. Just the asterisk on this is he's due for that fight where he looks his age. And that's the only thing. But I like this play a lot. I played them straight on 3 books, and then I have them by decision on 1. So this is one of my favorite plays this week.
I love it, man. I mean, Court McGee is definitely a grinder. He goes to decision more often than not. He's just not a finisher. So I think that decision prop is a good way to approach it. I'm glad you feel that way, because I feel the exact same way. I feel like anybody who's betting on Ramiz is either banking on Court to fall off a cliff, which could happen, but you're throwing a blind dart. We have yet to see evidence that that's actually happening. Or you're banking on Ramiz to have made giant leaps and bounds improvements in his game. He's a young fighter. It could happen. But again, you're kind of throwing a blind dart, hoping that this is the fight where it takes place. I'll take what my eyes have actually seen. I'm on Court McGee here in this spot, and I like it a lot too, man. Next fight up, Jamie Pickett and Joseph, the ugly man, Holmes. You know what? Real quick, man, I got to ask, Jeff. So those of us who aren't professional trained fighters, now I've done jujitsu, I've been in a gym before. I've done some training, obviously not at a high level or anything, but from what I understand, more often than not, the fight name comes from your teammates or your coaches, right? Like, doesn't the name get slapped on you by somebody else in the gym?
Usually. I've seen some guys have like self-made nicknames, which is fine, but I would say most guys or girls get their nicknames from family or coaches or training partners, teammates. Yeah, someone in the gym or maybe like a family member or something called you that growing up or something. But yeah, usually how that goes.
So what do you think of poor Joseph Holmes coming in here with the name Ugly Man for his professional fight name?
Man, he's been training with us for like the last 8 months. And I never asked him how he got that nickname. But
I gotta know.
Yeah, I'm intrigued now. Yeah, I really do wonder how he got that. Maybe his girlfriend was training with him or something and was like, hey, I got you. This is now your nickname.
Oh, that's bad. Anyway, so I have serious questions about Joseph Holmes' fight name, man. Jamie Pickett came on the scale 184.5 today. Best shape of his life. This dude is jacked. He put on some muscle for this fight. You can tell he is confident, really feeling himself right now. Joseph Holmes came in 185.5, smiling and laughing. Another guy whose energy I just love. I think he's going to be a welcome addition to the UFC. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Kevin Holland with the body type and the kind of don't care attitude about him. This is a spot where we've got tall and lanky versus thick again, man. You know, Jamie Pickett absolutely has the Phil Davis thick body type going on. Holmes is a little bit taller. They've both got an 80-inch reach. They size up pretty well in this spot, and I'm going to let you go first. I know he's been training at Glory for a little bit, so I kind of want to hear what you've got to say. He's a new guy to the UFC coming off Contender Series. We don't know a ton about him. How do you feel about this fight playing out?
Yeah, it's a tough fight. Pickett is an athlete. You mentioned his physique at weigh-ins. I'm sure he was cut up like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, the dude's an athlete, man. So, that being said, he's not the most technical on the feet, not the most technical on the ground. But him being an athlete, he can athlete his way into knocking someone out. He can athlete his way into a takedown. My concern with this fight is Joe's response to the grappling. If Pickett decides to athlete his way into a takedown, just how he responds when getting taken down. This is one I did not play this week. Again, Joseph Holmes is my teammate. He's got good striking, man. He doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't hit hard. He's accurate. He's like I feel like I have some good knockouts on, like, as an amateur, as a pro, and it's not from hitting hard, dude. I'm built like a stick figure. I don't hit hard, but I do find I feel like I'm accurate, and I find your chin a lot. So. And I feel like Joe's kind of in that same boat. He hits, he's accurate, and I feel like he can find Pickett. Do I think he puts out Pickett? No, I see this going to a decision. And of course, Ugly Joe is my teammate, or Ugly Man Joe is my teammate. So I'm going with my man Joe.
Okay. I hear you there, man. And I think you nailed a lot of that. The problem for me, you know, from a gambling perspective, I don't have the teammate attachment. I did go ahead and bet Jamie Pickett this week. I got him at plus 120, I think. And it looks like this line is crashing right here on Friday. Some love coming in for Joseph Holmes. He opened up about minus 140. And it's been kind of bouncing back and forth all week, but just today it went from minus 135 all the way down to minus 155. So somebody hit Holmes pretty hard this afternoon from a betting perspective. And it's another one where I'm tempted to actually go in and add more on Jamie Pickett. My issue for Jamie is sometimes he just doesn't pull the trigger. He can be low volume. He kind of does the staring contest thing with his opponents, but you absolutely nailed it on the athlete thing. I think this all comes down to wrestling. If Jamie decides that he wants to take Holmes down and then control him up against the fence, control him on the ground, I think he's got a significant advantage in this fight. And he's UFC battle tested. You know, that we talked about the level of competition. This is Joseph Holmes' first fight in the UFC. And man, I've done we lost him. He's back. Can you hear me okay, Jeff?
I think I lost you, brother.
All right. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, there we go. All right. We got him back. So basically, man, all I was saying is that I think we got to go back to that level of competition thing. Something that I've done betting-wise for the last year or two is you fade these Contender Series guys in their first UFC fight, because more often than not, they come in a little bit overhyped because everyone just saw them demolish somebody on Dana White's Contender Series, and then they fight someone who's had 2, 3, 4 UFC fights under their belt, and the line is flipped. Like, maybe they can win it, but they probably should be the underdog. That's kind of how I'm feeling in this spot. So definitely no disrespect to Holmes, but I think Jamie Pickett should probably be the minus 125 favorite in this spot. So I got to play him as a dog.
Yeah, I get it, brother. We talked about level of competition earlier, and I think that's huge. And Pickett's been in the UFC for a little bit. And if you look at the people Joe's beat and or fought, not the highest level of competition. So I definitely think from a betting perspective, that comes into consideration. Still got my man Joe winning.
I feel you, man. You got to do what you got to do. And I'm not saying he can't win. We all know this is gambling. We don't know shit until they actually close the cage.
Dude, yes. They can fucking slip on a banana peel in there and Sean O'Malley themselves, you know. But I do see this kind of being a drawn-out fight. I do see a decision on either end, you know, like a lot of heavy breathing, a lot of clinch work off the fence. So I think it'll be an interesting fight.
For sure. I think, honestly, if anything, the over is probably the best bet that you could make on this card. A little bit chalky. Might have to parlay it with something, but I don't see either of these guys.
What is that at? What is the over?
You know what? Let me go check on that actually, because I talk about it, but I don't actually have a bet on it myself. It looks like the total set at 2.5, and it's a pick 'em, even money to go over 2.5.
Okay, I like
I
that.
might have to add that to my card now that we're talking about it, man.
I might do that right
that's not
after
a half
this
that's not a
conversation.
half bad spot. All right, we found a spot. I love it when we find spots live like that. Next fight up, man. Bill Algeo taking on Joanderson Brito. Looks like Bill came in at 145 on the dot, completely relaxed. He had that quiet confidence thing going on the scale today. Joanderson Brito came in 145.5, absolutely jacked. This guy is another one of these little muscle monsters. He roared when they called out his weight. It looked to me like he was a little sucked out, maybe had a little bit of a tough weight cut. He's one of these guys that is layered with muscle. So yeah, you got to imagine making that weight is tough on him. Bill Algeo a decent bit taller, Brito a decent bit thicker, but he had the crazy eyes intensity going on. How do you make of this fight, man? This one is lined pretty evenly, actually. It's another spot where we've got the Dana White Contender Series newcomer coming in here slightly favored over the UFC vet in Bill.
This one's tough for me, man. I didn't play this one either. I'm gonna take Brito on this one. I think he's a little pit bull. He's a little fire hydrant, short, stocky guy. Just a little pit bull, up in your face, hits hard. Mm-hmm. That being said, Algeo's game, man, you can't count out Algeo. He's we talk about level of competition, and he's been in the UFC for some time now. So yeah, I've been going back and forth on this one, but gun to my head, I'm going with the little pit bull.
Okay, fair enough, man. This is one where nothing changes on my opinion. I did make a wager on Bill Algeo earlier in the week. This is a 2-unit spot for me. Going right back to the well on that level of competition thing. I mean, Bill Algeo made his UFC debut against Ricardo freaking Lamas. Like, it doesn't get much tougher sledding than that to get the ball rolling on your UFC career. And he's had a couple UFC fights, another Contender Series guy coming in favored. The big thing for me is that Bill Algeo's get-up game is sick, man. Like, he gets taken down, but he's the kind of guy that will wear you out with you trying to put him on the mat. I'm worried about all that muscle with Brito. If Brito can't get him out of there early, I think he's going to gas out, and Bill Algeo just kind of takes over in this fight. So I got the dog on this one.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all, man. Algeo's game, it's almost Billy Q-esque what he does when he's getting taken down. Like his ability to get up is what you want from a fighter. You know, if they don't have the strongest wrestling and they get him deep on the hips, like that's what you want to see from a fighter. You want to see that sense of urgency to get up, and he has that. So I like that play as well.
Absolutely, man. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I said on my Monday show that in my brain, Billy Q and Bill Algeo are the same guy. Like, anytime one of them gets a fight, I think of the wrong guy's resume. Like,
I see it. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought they're the same guy for the longest. Yeah.
All right, man. Next up, we got Dakota Bush taking on Slava. I'm not even going to try with the name. Dakota Bush. He came in at 145 and a half.
You gotta say his nickname, man. If you're gonna say Ugly Man Joe's nickname, you gotta say my man Dakota's nickname.
Oh yeah, Dakota Harry Bush, and I'm sorry,
let's go.
You know, Ugly Man might have one of the worst nicknames. Dakota's got one of the best nicknames in MMA. 100%. You gotta love the Harry Bush. He looked good on the scales, man. He's another one that came in, impressed me. Looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Took this camp seriously. Slava came in, and he was in great shape as well. Big flex, happy-go-lucky type of guy. Another another energy guy that I'm kind of liking being in the UFC, and another Contender Series guy. The trick with Slava, though, is that he's got a shit ton of kickboxing fights. He's got way more experience than a lot of, debuting UFC caliber fighters. Slava's got a slight height advantage. This was a respectful face-off, and man, this is a spot that I have yet to actually put any kind of money on. Slava's right now minus 200, minus 185, somewhere in that ballpark. You can get plus 155, plus 160 on Dakota Bush in this fight, and it's so binary to me. I mean, this seems like Dakota Bush, if he can get it on the ground, it's in his world. He's going to be able to do pretty much whatever he wants. Slava, world-class kickboxer. Like, if this thing stays on the feet, I worry about Dakota Bush being able to hang with him on the feet, if I'm being honest. So I don't know kind of what to expect here. I know Slava trains at Team Alpha Male, so that takedown defense, the grappling game, it's got to be constantly getting better and improving. But again, that's kind of a shot in the dark. I definitely feel like this line might be a little bit wide, but gun to my head, I'm picking Slava.
Yeah. Of course, I'm rocking with my guy, Harry Bush. This is one where I play it for the reason of, like, having that inside perspective, having like in stocks, this is like insider information. That's why I fucking love gambling, because I know a lot of these fighters. I've trained with a lot of these fighters, and
Hell yeah.
Dakota's my guy, you know. And I got to witness his camp firsthand and train with him, and we talked about like how in shape he was. Man, I've never seen Dakota in this great of shape. He's looked phenomenal. He's been putting in those 2-3 practices a day. I said this about TJ, but like Dakota took it to a whole new level. Like I've never seen Dakota in this good of shape, and I know he kind of has a point to prove with how his debut panned out. He took that on less than a week's notice, and he knew he had to get the dude out of there in the first round, and did everything he could to get him out of there, but just couldn't do it. And of course, he knew he was in the gas. So
he was impressive in a loss, though, man. If I'm being honest, even though he didn't get the win in that fight, a lot of us were very impressed with what he looked like on that short notice.
Agreed. And Hubbard's no slouch, man. So for him to be able to, I know I hate to talk about almost in MMA, but he looked really good in that first round, and I feel like with the full camp that would have been a win. So he has a point to prove, man, and he's shown that in the gym. In the past, I think Dakota's had a hard time of his control on top once he takes it to the mat, and I feel like he's really worked on that. I like this fight a lot, man. I played Dakota 1 unit on 3 different books, so 3 units in total. I like this fight a lot for him, and I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Will you say it one more time for me?
You know what? I just call him by his nickname Slava, because he's Viacheslav Borshchev or something. You know what I mean? Lots of Russian.
Yeah. Slava is good, man. He's a good kickboxer. He's surgical with what he throws. He's kind of, it reminds me a little bit of Giga, like we're gonna talk about, I'm sure later. I just think Dakota is going to be able to employ his game plan. I think I also think Dakota striking isn't the most technical. Like if you watch him on the mitts, it's not going to be the most prettiest thing ever. But if you've sparred with him or you watch him spar, I kind of run into the same problem. Like I would consider myself a pretty technical striker, but the people I have the hardest time with are the sloppy. Like they know, like they have a purpose to what they're doing, but it's not super technical. It's like, I don't come from a kickboxing background, but prior to being 18 years old, I couldn't do MMA. So I was having these kickboxing / Muay Thai fights, and I had about 10 of those. So I got used to the pretty striking, like just the traditional techniques. And Dakota's really fucking good at being an ugly technical fighter, if that makes sense.
So it's the offbeats,
I've seen
right?
really good strikers have a hard time with him in the gym.
Pattern?
Yeah, 100%. And I think Dakota's gonna be able to show something in his stand-up, and the exchanges before he gets to the ground in this fight that is gonna shock some people. I feel like the better strikers have a hard time with the sloppier fighters, and it's not like his technique's not there. It's not like he's sloppy, but just the punches come from different angles that you're not used to seeing. So with 4-ounce gloves on, it's different, man. I know he has kickboxing experience, but that's like ping pong and tennis. Like these are different sports, and sometimes it comes into play. We've seen high level kickboxers have great transitions to MMA, and then we've seen the complete opposite before. So I like Dakota a lot in this fight. I know I'm rambling.
No, you're good, man. We love the insider opinion. I definitely appreciate it. Do you think he finishes?
I can see him taking his back and getting a sub, but I can see a decision win for him, just from top control.
All right. And Jeff, I got to ask you here, man. Like I said, this is one where I've been kind of ping-ponging back and forth on. You mentioned the insider trading. Should I be betting Dakota Harry Bush with you, Jeff?
Should he be betting what, bro? I lost
you. Should I be betting on Dakota? Should I put some money down on Dakota?
Hey, man, I have 3 units on him, so that shows how much I like this fight. It's a tough fight, don't get me wrong. And in the sport, we talked about it, like anything can fucking happen, man. But I do like Dakota's chances here. And that's what this game playing this. So, yeah, I like Dakota here, man.
All right. Fuck it, man. Say less.
And if you're not comfortable with it, I put a half uni on it. What's that, brother?
I said, fuck it, I'm in. I'll jump in. I'll put some money on Dakota Bush myself. I'll lock that in right after we jump off the show. All
Let's
right,
go.
man. We're about to wrap this thing up. We got a couple more fights to talk about. Katlyn Chookagian taking on Jennifer Maia. Both women made weight, 126. No issue. Big smiles for both of them. It's a rematch. We know Katlyn's taller and longer. Jennifer Maia got the grappling thing going. Not much in the way of wrestling, though, so struggles to put that to use. This is a spot where, man, I got to tell you, Katlyn Chookagian has lost me more money than anybody on the UFC roster. I can't get her right. Like if I bet against her, she robs me with a split decision. If I bet on her, she drops that one fight. Like, so I can't get her. Minus 185 on Katlyn, Jennifer Maia plus 150, and I just can't do it, man. I can't go against Katlyn Chookagian at this point. I think that she wins this fight. Oh, we lost him. I'm sure he will load back up and get right back in here real quick. But you all watching know that I can't do shit with Katlyn Chookagian. It's death taxes, and Katlyn Chookagian by decision is more than likely what's going to go on here. So I'm going to move on so we keep the show moving here. Once we get Jeff back, we will throw him back in and he can give his thoughts here to close out the show. I'm really upset. I hope he comes back because I want to hear his thoughts on this next fight here. Brandon Royval, Rogerio Bontorin, both men made 125.5. Brandon Royval, intense on the scale, my boy. Gave a big flex, pumped up. This guy is ready to go, chomping at the bit. You can tell he's a warrior. You've got Rogerio Bontorin, absolute blank, soulless stare from Rogerio Bontorin. This guy is all muscle, had a tough weight cut. You can tell. Oop, Jeff's back. All right, Jeff. I was just going to ask.
Lost you there, brother.
Yeah, sorry about that. Katlyn Chookagian, Jennifer Maia. Do you have anything on this one? I don't have a bet. Katlyn Chookagian by decision seems most likely.
Yeah, I played her straight on 2 books and then played her by decision on the 3rd. I like her a lot, man. I think she's I think I overheard you. It was kind of choppy, but you said you lost a lot of money on her in the past.
Yes.
I have as well. But I do like her odds in this fight. I like the value that it's at, especially by decision. And I think it's going to go pretty similar to their first fight. I think Chookagian's just going to pick her apart from the outside and make cool noises as she does it.
It feels exactly like this is a rerun, man. That's going to look exactly like the first fight. I agree. I was talking about Brandon Royval and Rogerio Bontorin next. The size difference between these guys at weigh-ins today was absolutely massive. Bontorin's another one of these little tank, muscle-bound type of guys. Brandon Royval, tall, skinny, lanky, chaos incarnate once he gets inside the cage, but that height and reach advantage today. I knew he was going to be taller and longer, but I didn't expect it to be to the level that it was. He looks like he's 2 weight classes bigger than Bontorin. And man, I loaded up. I'm big on Royval here in this spot. I'm big on Royval in general. I think that he's a title challenger level fighter, and this is that step down in competition. And whenever you see somebody fighting a bunch of people way up at the top, if they're fighting well, if they're fighting close, and they get that break, that one little notch down, they usually run through that guy. And on top of that, I really feel like Rogerio Bontorin left his soul in the sauna this morning. Like he looked half dead on the scales trying to make 125. Do you have any feel on this fight, Jeff?
Man, I'm not as confident in this one as you are. I was going back and forth on this one for about a week and a half now. I like Royval, man. He's a cool dude. We've gone back and forth in DMs. He trains at Factory X, where my coach trains at whenever he competes. So we got like this little camaraderie there. We kind of have this thing where like our guys don't fight their guys and vice versa unless it's for an entry to the UFC or a title fight. So he's good, man. Fucking Brandon Royval is nasty. He reminds me of like a Tony Ferguson in his prime. Just the way he fights, just like nasty off his back. If you take him down, he's looking to chop you up with elbows. He's rolling for your legs in order to try to get up. On the feet, not the most technical guy, but he's trying to fucking hurt you, man. He's trying to put an Xbox logo on your forehead with elbows and teeps up the middle, and like he's just violent and nasty in there. That at times has cost him. The kind of recklessness has cost him with the Pantoja fight. Like I just remember him getting kind of loading up on shots and getting taken down almost pretty easily. I think Bontorin is going to be able to get down Royval. I just don't think he's going to be able to do what Pantoja did to him, find his back and choke him out. And that's where Bontorin's good at. I'm kind of surprised Bontorin made weight. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't get to see the weigh-ins. I know he missed that 35 against Schnell, so I really didn't expect him to make weight. So I'm sure he looked like Dookie at weigh-ins.
He looked awful.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm gonna go with Royval here. I think I did a show last week and I said I was gonna go with Bontorin, but I like Royval here, man. I'm not playing this one. But you mentioned like level of competition, and Royval's been up there with the top 5, and he's fought tough people, top 3 really. So yeah, I like Royval here. From a prop perspective, at first I was thinking the under 1.5. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I don't know if I like that anymore. Just Bontorin's like a little fireball, man. He hits hard. And the Royval is also nasty in there, just trying to hurt you. But I feel like Royval's gonna take a more like cerebral approach to this fight,
I agree.
And I think that's what's gonna win in the fight.
I completely agree, man. And I actually went ahead and sprinkled Brandon Royval in round 3. I love my little round 3 sprinkles. I think
sprinkle there.
Yeah, I gotta love the little sprinkle.
What are the odds on that?
I think he was 12-1 or 14-1 in round 3.
Let's go.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Royval's a finisher, man. As much as we think that, even if he takes a step back and slows down, he's still got that killer instinct. And especially
his
if
cardio, man.
The cardio is the key, man. If he starts to gas out, if Bontorin starts to slow down, he'll have a good first round. Maybe
when he starts to slow down, Royval will pick up, like he smells blood in the water. Royval's that kind of guy where he's going to get tired as well, but once he sees that you're a little more tired than he is, he's going to fucking pick it up. So I like that little sprinkle, man.
I love it. Let's go, Brandon Royval. Give me that round 3 cash, baby. All right, co-main event. We got the big boys. Jake Collier taking on Chase Sherman. Collier came in at 264.5. Took time to eat lunch before he got on the scale today. No issues with him. Looked good. Big old flabby boy like we're used to with these heavyweights. Chase Sherman came in at 250. Pissed everybody off. Made weight super easily. He was the last one to weigh in, but of course came in like 10 minutes before the damn stream was over. So we all had to sit around waiting for him. If I'm being honest, Chase Sherman looked a bit softer than we're used to seeing him. And that's something that we've seen progressively over his last couple fights, is his physique has been getting a little bit softer as it progresses. Big size advantage for Chase Sherman here. He's the natural heavyweight frame. We all know what happened with Jake Collier taking the time off, coming back at heavyweight, not really being in the best physical looking shape at least, but he seems to have found a solid home here in the heavyweight division. This is one where, again, I haven't made a bet. My heart says Jake Collier. He's a minus 130 favorite, plus 110 on Chase Sherman. But the way Chase Sherman comes out in round 1, I feel like he can get anybody out of there in round 1 and especially with those leg kicks. If Collier isn't prepared to take a couple of those, we could see the early upset from Chase Sherman. But the longer this goes, the more it favors Collier. Maybe a live betting spot. Nothing pre-flop for me. What about you, Jeff?
I agree with that 100%. This is one I didn't play either. Gun in my head, I'm going Jake Collier. But yeah, just the heavyweight aspect of anybody, like anybody can get put out, especially in that division. Concerns me a little bit. I think Sherman's best chances in the first round. If not, I see a kind of a boring fight with just Collier outpointing him. Both these guys don't have the highest volume. Yeah, this isn't one I'd play. You mentioned Sherman looked a little soft. And then if we're talking about people getting soft, we talk about a guy that was a welterweight going up to heavyweight. And I feel like the transition was worked better for him than we would see with other people, because his volume at 170 wasn't much higher either. So at heavyweight, I feel like that's kind of the same. Yeah, this isn't one I played, but I would pick Collier in this one.
Okay, I'm doing the same thing, picking Collier. No bet on this side of things, and it's main event time, man. First 2 men to the scale this morning, both Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze looking to make statements. They both came in at 146 on the dot, and they both looked excellent. I mean, both guys are absolutely cut up, shredded, ripped. They know what's in front of them. Potential title shot goes to the winner with Volkanovski scrambling for a new opponent. You never know what's going to happen. They both definitely want that opportunity if they can squeeze in there with a big win. This was a great face-off. Both guys intense. You can see a slight thickness advantage for Calvin Kattar. His back, he absolutely has a more, muscular frame, whereas Giga Chikadze is a bit leaner, a little bit more built for speed, I feel like. This is a great fight, man. We've got minus 225, it looks like, on Giga Chikadze, and you can get +1, anywhere from like +180 to 190 plus 200 on Calvin Kattar around the market. And this is a spot where, from a betting perspective, it's hard because I feel like I'm picking Giga Chikadze to win the fight. But I think that's way too wide. I think Calvin Kattar is more than live in this spot. And I think that it favors Calvin Kattar the deeper this fight goes with his pace and his cardio. We've seen Giga's cardio ebb off just a little bit a couple times. It's his first time fighting 5 rounds. If I was going to bet it, I probably would have to go with the dog in Calvin Kattar. But if I'm just picking it, just winner take all, I think I'm going Giga Chikadze. How about you, Jeff?
I lost a little bit there. You sound a little choppy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
All right.
You're
good. I agree. I think from a bettor's perspective, Giga's a little expensive. I do like him in this fight. That being said, I like him for the reason that there's too many unanswered questions with Kattar. That type of fight he had with Holloway, I know it was a year ago, and he took the proper time off after a fight like that. But that's life. That could be life-changing, both in and out of the cage. So that he took a lot of damage in that fight. He took record-setting damage in that fight, should I say. So I want to see how he comes back from that. So that's what would turn me off on playing Kattar. Also, Giga's fucking nasty, man. He's very precise with the shots. In this fight, I played the over 2.5. I know Giga can get him out of there early, and vice versa, man. Kattar hits hard. I think Kattar has to have a good game plan on this. I think he needs to keep Giga on his back foot. It's really hard to kick while going backwards. And Kattar isn't really known for his pressure fighting, but it's opponent dependent, and I think he needs to be up in his face, and he needs to wrestle, man. You need to wrestle against Giga. Even if you don't take him down, just make him work. Make him work. I need to see Kattar wrestle in this fight just to get him tired. Kattar has really good cardio. We haven't really seen Giga go past the 3rd round. I don't think we have. And so I want to see anything past the 3rd round, man. I like Kattar, but I'm a betting man, so my money would be the over 2.5 on this one.
Okay. All right, Jeff. I like that overlook, man. I think that's definitely going to be the way to go. I know Calvin Kattar, he took that life-changing beating, but we saw how tough he is. He was able to hang in there with Max Holloway. I think he can hang in there for at least 3 rounds with Giga. And I think that's got to be his strategy, right? Calvin Kattar is not the early finish type necessarily, so he probably needs to drag this fight late to have a shot. So I think the over is probably the best look betting-wise on this thing. For me, it's a dog or pass. Haven't yet played this one. We'll see if I get, too itchy with not enough action by tomorrow. That may happen, and I might end up going with Calvin Kattar, but I like your look on the over.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that. I really hope Kattar implores some wrestling for my bet and for his sake as well, man. Wrestling gets you tired. It's a good way to make an amazing striker just a little slower, man. Giga is fast, and that's part of why he's so successful with his striking. He's not really known for his volume. It's just hard and it lands. So I like Kattar wrestling in this fight, man. Like I think it's almost a must. Like if you want this to go into deep waters where we know you can swim, let's wrestle.
I like that, man. Shoot him a text before the fight starts. Let him know that's the game plan.
Like, hey, man, I got the over 2.5, dude. I'm gonna need you to wrestle. No,
exactly.
Yeah, man. Anything past the 3rd round though, like, you cannot count out Kattar. Like, he's got some big wins on his resume, and I know that last fight against Holloway could change a lot of minds about Kattar, but he's still the man. He's still upper echelon, and it's just a tough fight stylistically. And honestly, I was kind of surprised when it was announced that they're going to give Kattar Giga right off of that fight that he took a beating in.
Yeah. Staying at the top of the division for sure, man. He seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't have wanted it any other way, though.
Yeah. That type of guy for sure wants no steps back. But, we know from having watched the sport however long we have, like, that styles make fights. And Absolutely. I'm not sure if that's the type of fight you want to take right off of the Holloway fight.
I agree, man. I agree. I can't wait. This is going to be a fun card. Jeff, thank you so much for coming and doing the show with me, man. Big shout out to you for doing that. I'm going to go ahead and brown nose and be a fanboy for just 2 seconds here. On my podcast for my end of the year wrap up, I did a segment on fighters to watch for 2022. You were the first one that I listed. I know,
Let's go.
my guy, MMA Lock of the Night. I know you did a show with him before. We actually have a new podcast called the Deadlock Podcast. And one of our favorite segments that we're working on is called Fighter Stonks. And we're treating you guys like the stock market. We're buying and selling on fighters. And you were my second stonk pick, man. I was like, give me El Jefe as my upward rising stonk for the next year or two. So I'm a massive fan of what you do. Can't wait to see you back in the cage. And just this was super cool to have you come on the podcast. And I appreciate you spending the time talking some sports gambling with the rest of us degenerates.
My man, yeah, thank you, man. That means a ton, and thank you for having me. This was fun. I love talking fights. I'm a fucking fight nerd, man. This is all I do. This is breathe and live this shit. Watch tape all the time, so it's fun for me.
Hell yeah! All right, man. I would love to chat with you again down the road at some point. I'll cut you loose. We've been on the show for a long time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Everybody make sure you give Jeff Molina a follow. We're going to see him in action pretty soon here, and we've got tons of Glory MMA action happening tomorrow. So everybody give my man a shout out. Thank you very much, and hey, good luck on all your degenerate action out there, everybody.